like to welcome you to our Hamilton County Board of Election meeting today. Today is February the 13th, 2023. Calling the meeting to order at approximately 8:35. Proper notice has been given as required under Ohio Revised Code 121.22. I'd like to begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. You can stand, please, and have anyone who has served our country or is serving it to lead us in the pledge. United States of America. One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and again, thanks for your service. We have our board meeting minutes from January the 10th, 2023. They have been sent. We have reviewed them. Is there any changes or amendments to be made to those minutes?
Nothing. I'll move approval of the board meeting minutes for the January 10th meeting.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? That motion carries. Next, we have an update of the November 2022 General Election Anomaly Report. Ms. Poland?
Yes, Madam Chair. There were 7 voters still appearing on the anomaly report since the board's last meeting. A certified letter was mailed to each one of those 7 voters. The deputy director and I heard back from 6 out of the 7. They all gave reasonable explanations as to their voting anomaly. However, the 7th voter listed on your spreadsheet has not responded to the board's request for contact. In this specific situation, this voter did not request an absentee ballot, but received an absentee ballot and identification envelope belonging to another voter, and scratched out the original voter's information from the envelope and listed her own and mailed it back. That ballot was not counted. It was actually received after the deadline, but board attempted to reach her to find out some more details about this situation, but we've been unable to contact her.
Well, first of all, it's interesting, and that the certified letter worked, which was good. It's also interesting with the last situation, what the intent was. Do you guys have any thoughts about that?
I do. First of all, on the first 6, as happens in a large majority of these anomaly cases, I'm satisfied that no other action is required from the board. That's just my view. I think that each one of these, again, the certified letter did work. I'm pleased that it did to get the kind of results that we would want here, and just that as an explanation. And I've read through all of them. I think the first 6 are worthy of no further action. On the 7th one, it's, again, a simple conversation from the voter. I think we've exhausted every avenue. Again, when we refer these cases for further investigation, it's certainly, from my perspective, not any sort of presumption of any criminal activity. It's just, the board has done what it can do within its powers. So my view is we do pass that one along. Again, these rarely turn into anything, but on the other hand, I think it's our obligation, instead of just closing it out, to pass it along to another government agency that has the investigatory ability to perhaps get more attention from this voter. I think anytime somebody gets a ballot they did not request and then changes something on the face of the ballot, that just leaves me with at least a lot more questions, and I think we should refer that one. So that's my position.
Yeah, I concur with you, Alex. The circumstances with a person who's requesting a ballot that wasn't even sent to them, and they cross out somebody else's name and then still show up in person to vote, that requires some additional, conversation to find out what the reasoning was.
I'll make a motion then, just to get it on the table, that we refer that voter number 7 for further investigation to the prosecutor.
Second.
And I want to just make a comment. I always look at when something like this happens, is it one that it's a way they're being challenged or testing the system to see what we're going to do.
Right.
So I support the nomination, the vote. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstaining? That motion carries. Thank you. Next is the certification of the partisan candidate petitions. Ms. Poland?
Yes, there is three different spreadsheets regarding certification of partisan candidate petitions in your folder. The first is entitled Hamilton County Board of Elections 2023 Partisan Candidates List Filed Sufficient. Staff has reviewed these petitions, found them to be sufficient, and recommend certification. We will note that there will be one primary in Hamilton County this May, and that is in the city of Harrison, the contest for mayor, a Republican primary.
So this is the list that's, there aren't any questions about, right? The one that's.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct.
All right, so I'll move certification of those partisan candidate petitions to the ballot.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? That motion carries.
The next spreadsheet in your folder is entitled Hamilton County Board of Elections 2023 Partisan Candidates List Filed Insufficient. The list contains two candidate petitions that simply did not have the required number of valid signatures. So therefore, those are insufficient.
And those have been reviewed by you and both our deputy director and director.
Yes, they did not have the correct number of valid signatures.
I'll move approval, excuse me, I'll move that those two candidates their candidacies be rejected for insufficient petitions.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? And that motion carries.
The last spreadsheet contains a list of two candidate petitions that staff is submitting to the board for further review. That list is entitled Hamilton County Board of Elections 2023 Partisan Candidates List Filed Board Review. The first candidate on the list is a candidate for the city of Cheviot. The candidate's name is Matthew Halterman. There were one of the part petition forms filed by the candidate was filed on an incorrect form. It was filed on a nominating petition that's used by independent candidates versus the declaration of candidacy that's filed for candidates in a partisan primary election. On that nominating petition, the one part petition where the wrong form was used, it was printed by the candidate on letter versus legal, and that caused an incomplete circulator statement. So if you notice on the very last page of the part petition, the circulator statement is incomplete. There's no signature, and there's no number of valid signatures.
So my question on the nominating petition, I know that you have to have a circulator statement, but since it's not a declaration of candidacy, it's a nominating petition for like a independent, that's strict compliance, isn't it, running for this particular office? Yeah. Okay.
And without that, without using the signatures on that last nominating petition, the candidate does not have enough valid signatures.
Okay. Thank you.
Based on that, then, I move that we reject the candidacy of that particular candidate in the city of Cheviot for having insufficient signatures.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? And that motion carries.
The next candidate listed on this report is for the city of Reading. The part petitions that were filed with the board in the declaration of candidacy section, the date of the primary election was left blank on all three of the part petitions. And I believe our legal counsel is prepared to provide an opinion on this.
Yes, good morning. Charlie Hannes from the prosecutor's office.
Good morning.
In this circumstance, the Supreme Court of Ohio held in State ex rel Stewart v. Clinton County Board of Elections that omission of the primary election date was not a vital and material defect in the petition. So with that, this isn't a fatal flaw.
Thank you, Mr. Annis, for bringing case law. Not something we see very often around.
I like
here. It's refreshing.
I was getting ready to say,
Thank you, Mr.
All
Ennis.
right,
So
thanks.
with that, this is an issue, I know in the 15 years I've been here, we've encountered this a fair amount, and I think these, we normally always deem these sufficient despite the small error, and the Supreme Court certainly has told us to do that. So with that, I'll move approval of the City of Reading petitions for candidate Boehner.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? And that motion carries. Thank you. Next, we have certification from the May 2023 primary special election questions and issues. Ms. Poland.
Yes, you have a list of the questions and issues that have been filed for the May election, and in your packet, staff recommends certification.
So once we approve, they all get their issue numbers?
It's been, so it's actually the policy of the board, I believe, now we put it into policy, that the issue numbers not be issued until 4 PM on the 60th day before Election Day.
Okay.
The filing deadline for charter amendments is not until the 60th day.
Okay.
So if additional charter amendments are filed, that would change the issue numbers. So again, it's been our past practice, and I believe we put it into policy recently, that the issue numbers be posted at 4 PM on the 60th day, which is March 3rd, I believe.
Okay.
Any more discussion?
Well, I'll make a motion that we certify these questions and issues on this document here to the ballot.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? And that motion carries. Looks like there's going to be a kind of busy primary out in the county mostly. Okay.
About 25% of the voters in Hamilton County will be having an election in May.
Next, we have, making sure I'm staying on, May 23rd, 2023 primary special election equipment allocation.
Yes, there is a spreadsheet in your packet entitled May 2nd, 2023 primary election equipment allocation. Staff recommends approval.
I'll move approval of the staff recommendation here on the allocation and distribution of equipment for the May 2nd, 2023 primary election.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? That motion carries. Next, we have the discussion and approval regarding the May 2023 primary special election ballot and provisional envelope quantities.
Yes, Madam Chair, again, you have the allocation spreadsheet in your packet. Staff is recommending to print 60% of the total number of registered voters in each precinct. That would be the number of ballots, with the exception of, in the city of Harrison for the Republican primary, we went back and looked at the past two primary elections held in that jurisdiction, and then added 150 onto that. So that should give us a sufficient number of ballots for the May election.
I'll move approval of the ballot allocation numbers that are being recommended by staff for the May 2nd, 2023 primary election.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? And that motion carries.
Just to be clear, that also included the provisional envelope quantity, so
That's true.
thank you for that.
Next is the May 2023 primary special election precinct election officials assignment.
Yes, you have the staff recommendation laid out in your folder. Staff is recommending that we adjust the number of precinct election officials assigned. We do anticipate, as historically, a lower turnout in this type of an election. So our recommendation is to stay with the standard of 4 PEOs in single precinct polling locations, and in double to adjust that number from 8 to 6. And in triples to reduce the number from 12 to 8, and then in quads from 16 to 10. And then I believe it's the intent of our PO department to also train backups for the election in the event of last-minute cancellations. this does require approval by the board for these adjustments.
Any discussion? When I look at this, this seems like when you think about a May primary, and then we look at the turnout in those particular areas as well, I see that this appears to be an appropriate number that we could work with a backup system in place as well.
Are any of the quads like in Harrison, or no? Do we even know that?
I don't believe so. Yeah, our administrators are shaking their head no. There are no quads in the city of Harrison.
Yeah, if that's a staff recommendation, I'm happy to make a motion to make that adjustment so that we adopt the staff's recommendation on PEO polling location assignments.
Second.
Okay, any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Abstaining? That motion carries. Next, we have full-time staff appointment discussion. Ms. Poland?
Yes, we have one full-time Republican appointment. This is the appointment of Wendy Francesco as the absentee voting specialist in our absentee voting and community engagement department.
Okay. Well, since it's a Republican, it's customary, I want to make a motion to approve the appointment of Wendy Francisco to the position of absentee voting specialist.
I'll second. Chip got me.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstaining? That motion carries.
Congratulations to Wendy. Welcome aboard.
Yeah. Other business, we have someone in the audience. Do you wish to speak with the board?
That's Mr. Boehner. We already approved him, so.
Your name is familiar. All right. Any other business?
Just to let the board know, we have included an updated organization chart in your packet. We've had quite a few staff movements recently, personnel movements, and with the hiring two recent new hires, both on the Republican and Democratic side last month. So we just wanted to make sure you had an updated organization chart. Also wanted to give you an update. We've been staff's been working diligently on implementing our new voter registration system. And after this meeting, we will begin a mock election. A representative from our vendor 10X is on site, and we're going to spend the next few days conducting a mock election just to test all the various processes before we go live.
That can be very tedious. It has to be.
Yes.
Every little thing we have to test.
Yes, and we are working our way through that.
Have we sort of been preparing for that, for this day, by looking at the other requirements and expectations that we have to adhere to? And we've kind of put that into this testing process as well.
Yes, this process has actually been ongoing for a few years now. So we're getting closer to the finish line.
Good.
So this mock election is internal, right?
I'm sorry?
All internal?
This all internal, right, all internal. Yes, this is, the public would not notice any changes.
Well, I'm looking forward to the outcomes, and this is the best way that you can also, from a quality control process, test where your strengths are and where there may be any areas for improvement and weakness as well. So that's good.
Yes.
I support that wholeheartedly. And thank you for the updated organizational chart. There has been a lot of moving chairs, moving around, and it just helps us to make sure that we know who's coming on board and we can say welcome. So thank you. Any other business? Any other discussion? Anyone? I see you guys are excited, want to get this test started, don't you?
Yes.
I can feel it. All right, need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstaining? None but the devil, as I always say, and this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.